What if I told you one soldier secretly broke the laws of physics, and no one was ever supposed to know? The afternoon at Camp Liberty was noisy and crowded, the kind of atmosphere that soldiers were used to during daily maintenance hours when rifles, machine guns, and heavy weapons were cleaned, checked, and prepared for the next mission, and the sound of metal clicking, brushes scraping, and conversations mixing together filled the large armory like background music of war preparation. But in the far corner, away from the loud groups, one soldier sat completely focused. Her name was Staff Sergeant Mira Stone, and she was doing the same thing she had done every single day since arriving at the camp, carefully taking apart her massive Barrett sniper rifle, a weapon so powerful and so heavy that most people struggled even to carry it. Yet for Mira, it was like part of her own body. And the way she cleaned it was not casual, not just routine, but almost surgical, every part inspected, every screw polished, every inch checked with the kind of focus that only comes from years of experience and discipline. General Richard Cole, a man with decades of service, was walking through the armory at that very moment, doing what generals always did, inspecting soldiers, checking discipline, making sure everything looked perfect. But as he moved from group to group, his eyes caught something strange, something that forced him to stop in his tracks, and that small detail was not the rifle, not the calm face of Mira, not even her unusual quietness in a room full of noise. It was a tiny badge on her uniform, a badge so easy to miss that no one else had noticed. But the second his eyes landed on the words engraved on it, his heart skipped a beat, because the badge read, 3,200 meters confirmed kill. For a moment, the general thought he was seeing wrong, because in his long career he had studied the records of the best snipers in history, and he knew that the world record for a confirmed sniper kill was far less than that, meaning this number was beyond human limits, a distance so extreme that most professional snipers would not even dream of attempting it, because at that range the bullet does not just travel across the battlefield, it travels across the air currents, the temperature changes, the invisible twists of the Earth's rotation itself, and everything could go wrong in a single second. So when he saw those words, the general froze, his mind racing, because if it was true, then the quiet soldier sitting in the corner was not just ordinary. She was someone far more dangerous, far more skilled, and maybe even a living legend hiding in plain sight. The general finally broke his silence and said in a low but sharp voice, "Soldier, that is impossible. No one has ever made a shot at that distance." Mira slowly looked up from her rifle, her face calm, her hands steady, and with a voice so composed that it almost made the general more uneasy, she answered, "Sir, the shot was confirmed." In that one moment, the entire armory seemed to pause, the noise of metal and chatter fading in the background, because the soldiers nearby had also heard her words, and the idea of a 3,200-meter confirmed kill echoed in their minds like thunder, making them wonder, who really was this quiet woman who worked alone in the corner? Who was she behind the uniform, and what kind of mission could require such a shot? And if she really did it, then what kind of secrets was she carrying that no one else knew? And just like that, the story shifted, because the soldier who seemed invisible seconds ago suddenly became the center of every hidden question, every whisper of mystery, and the eyes of General Richard Cole narrowed as he realized that he might have just stumbled upon something that was never meant to be uncovered. A truth so extraordinary that it could rewrite what people believed about human skill, technology, and the limits of war itself. General Richard Cole could not let the matter rest, because in all his years of military service he had never encountered a claim that sounded so impossible. And the thought of a soldier sitting silently in his camp with a badge that declared a kill beyond the limits of human skill kept echoing inside his head. So with firm authority, he ordered her full records to be opened, and what he discovered was so shocking that even a man of his experience had to stop and reread the files again and again just to believe what his own eyes were showing him. The service record of Staff Sergeant Mira Stone was not ordinary. It was not even extraordinary. It was something that belonged more to myth than reality, because it revealed a history filled with classified missions, attachments with the most elite units in the world, and scores in sniper training that no other soldier had ever come close to achieving. And each line of that file painted a picture not of a regular soldier, but of someone who had been shaped into a weapon so rare and so precise that the military itself had decided to bury most of her history in top-secret archives. When General Cole confronted Mira with the question that had been burning inside his mind, asking her directly how such a shot was even possible, her calmness was almost unnerving, because instead of reacting with pride or fear, she simply began to explain in a tone so steady that it was almost like a lecture, and she described how, at 3,000 meters, every single detail of the universe mattered, how the bullet's path was twisted by wind currents at different heights, how the density of air could change the flight, how gravity pulled continuously on the round, and even how the very rotation of the Earth itself, known as the Coriolis effect, had to be calculated in order for that bullet to reach its target with deadly precision. And as she spoke, the general realized that he was not listening to an ordinary sniper, but to a mind that had mastered both science and skill to a level he had never heard before. But the general was not a man who believed in words alone, and as the silence of the armory thickened with the weight of Mira's explanation, he made a demand that turned the entire moment into something unforgettable, because he ordered her to prove it, to show him with his own eyes that what she claimed was real. And though the longest range available at Camp Liberty was only 200 meters, he insisted that even at that distance, 3 times farther than most snipers even dare to attempt in combat, she should demonstrate the truth of her skills. 2 days later, the scene was set at the range. The wind was calm, the sky clear, and soldiers gathered quietly with anticipation burning in their eyes as Mira prepared her Barrett sniper rifle, carefully checking her advanced optics, her weather instruments, and her ballistic computer. And then she lay flat, steady as stone, her breathing controlled, her finger poised, and when the thunder of the rifle finally broke the silence, the bullet cut through the air with a roar, and seconds later the call came from the spotting scope. "Target hit, center mass!" General Cole lowered his binoculars slowly, his eyes locked on the soldier who had just done the unthinkable, and in that moment he realized he was not looking at just another warrior under his command. He was standing in the presence of a soldier who operated at superhuman precision, someone whose calm silence carried more power than entire battalions, and the question inside his mind grew louder. If this is what she can do here, then what exactly happened on the day she made the impossible? 3,200-meter shot? Weeks passed in silence, but the mystery of Staff Sergeant Mira Stone continued to gnaw at General Richard Cole, because the memory of that impossible badge and the demonstration shot that had stunned the entire base refused to fade away. And finally, after countless requests and endless waiting, he was granted clearance to access the complete classified record that had been locked away behind the highest security walls, a file so restricted that even a general of his rank had to fight to see it. And as he opened those pages, the story that unfolded before his eyes felt less like a soldier's career and more like the secret legend of a ghost who walked between war and history. The documents revealed that Mira Stone was not a regular sniper at all. She was described in the hidden lines of military intelligence as a strategic weapon, a human asset deployed only when every other option was doomed to fail, and reading through those missions painted a picture so extraordinary that it was hard to believe this quiet woman polishing her rifle in the corner of the armory had carried such a weight upon her shoulders, because every mission she was assigned to carried the note, "Failure not an option," and in each mission she had done the impossible with cold precision and absolute success. Then came the page that explained the truth behind the legendary 3,200-meter shot. And General Cole leaned forward as his eyes ran across the words. Because this was no practice round, no record-breaking stunt for glory, but a real operation in enemy territory where dozens of innocent hostages were being held by ruthless militants. And the only way to save them without triggering a bloodbath was to eliminate the commander who held his finger on the detonator. And it was Mira who took the shot, calculating every detail from an impossible distance, holding her breath for a moment that seemed endless, and then sending that single bullet across the world to strike with perfect accuracy. And in that one moment she had saved lives that no one else could have saved, and yet the operation was buried in secrecy, known only by a handful of people who swore never to speak of it. General Cole closed the file slowly, the weight of truth heavy in his chest, and he realized that Mira Stone was not just another name in the endless list of soldiers. She was something else entirely. A living reminder that among the ranks of ordinary uniforms there existed hidden legends, warriors whose stories would never appear in history books, whose victories would never be told in parades, but whose actions shaped the course of wars, in silence. And just when he thought he might finally get a chance to ask her directly, to understand the person behind the myth, Mira vanished once again, assigned to another classified mission, disappearing into the shadows as quietly as she had appeared, leaving behind nothing but questions, whispers, and the haunting realization that the world was filled with secrets too large to imagine. General Cole stood alone in his office that night, staring at the badge on his desk, the same badge that had started it all, and he asked himself the question that would never leave him. If one hidden legend like Mira Stone could exist in silence, then how many more walk among us, wearing the same uniforms, blending into the crowd, carrying secrets that could change the world? And so Staff Sergeant Mira Stone disappeared once again into the shadows of another classified mission. Her name may never appear in history books, and her face may never be shown in the headlines, but somewhere out there, hidden from the world, soldiers like her exist, ordinary uniforms hiding extraordinary legends. Now the question is, how many more secrets like this are buried in silence? How many hidden warriors are still out there, protecting the world in ways we can never imagine? If this story made you stop and think, then don't just leave yet, because there are many more secrets waiting to be revealed. Subscribe now, join this journey, and never miss the untold stories of the world's most hidden legends. Because sometimes, the truth is stranger than fiction.